Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 River to Glory 2020 series. We're met with another spout of rain here at the Russian Grand Prix. We can't seem to escape the wet weather, unfortunately. I think, thankfully, it may be subdued for the actual running on Sunday. But last time out, the 200 IQ plays were brought out. I think that's the only way to describe it. So we're going to go and absolutely send it. Pulled his pants down there, up into P9. Embarrassing for the works Mercedes car. Oh, no! Once again, my genius in the Williams car knows no bounds. Because look at this, we've just overtaken Gasly. Only I could end up crashing the car and actually make it work in my favour in this series. You love to see it. Just Williams things, you know, finessing the entire Formula 1 field since we started this series. But yeah, like I said, thankfully the rain will be staying away, I think, for the rest of the weekend. We come here into this weekend then with my teammate Pierre Gasly and Max Verstappen level on points, 25 points behind me, which means we really need to be careful. You know, we've still got plenty of races for them to turn it around, and it's, you know, let's be real. It's been a bit of a rocky boat, up and down, sort of last 3 episodes. You know, we've had crash at Spa, a great race at the Italian Grand Prix, then sort of a halfway house at the Singapore Grand Prix. So I can't wait to see what's going to occur this episode at Sochi. I mean, to be fair, historically, probably not a lot, because it is probably one of the most bland races in the season. But here at Road to Glory, I'm sure we'll find a way to bring some entertainment to you guys. And of course, it is the second outing of our minty fresh new sponsor, Colgate, on the car. Obviously, if you watched last episode, you would have seen we replaced our old sponsor, Rocket, which obviously we dropped, and we got a brand new one last episode. And now in the normal daylight, we can see it in all its glory in the halo, and you can see as it powers us through turn 3 in P2, maybe into P1 as we get into the brake zone and hit the apex beautifully there. Myself and Gasly jockeying for position. Leclerc now, though, gets in the mix as we enter towards sector 3 then. So the Ferrari looking pretty quick, actually. Know where the Red Bulls are. The Red Bulls are technically meant to be the best car on paper now, having made some upgrades here, but the Ferrari looking very decent there. Leclerc up in P1 on the ghost time in this one-shot quali. We're down in P4. We're going to try and gain some time there. Gasly up into P1. We get it way too hot under the collar, and we smashed it on the left-hand side. And oh, and the car has literally leapt off there into the, I don't know what on earth that was. Our car started to take off. It still thought we had the Rocket sponsorship on the car, clearly. I don't know what, or maybe the toothpaste came out the back and made it spear up, but we're out of qualifying in last place now. But you know what? Once again, like the Singapore Grand Prix, I have totally finessed the entire Formula 1 world here, because it doesn't matter that we're in last place, because that was always going to be the case. We're always going to be in last place because of this one very fact. We had to take major engine penalties this race to get to the end of the season. We have now reached the limit with most of the components we've got. The internal combustion engine very worn out, among other parts, and so we're going to take this opportunity to take a fresh engine on every single count, also a fresh gearbox as well. So much like we did at Singapore, where we crashed, caused the virtual safety car, and used that to our advantage to gain positions, we're going to use the fact that we crashed in qualifying to gain an advantage, so to speak, in terms of taking these penalties now and then being fine for the rest of the season. So once again, my genius really knows no bounds. Strategy-wise, it'll be a very linear one-stop here today, of course, at the Russian Grand Prix. Very low tyre wear, especially for the soft tyres, so it'll be a one-stop, soft to mediums, with the softs going longer than the mediums in this race, which means we can just go full pedal from the get-go from last place. But that important, actually, another caveat to this is we've got the two most important positions in this race to start off with, first place and last place. So Claire Williams can't really argue with that, on top of the logic I just gave you guys about the engines, fresh engine. So here we go then to 5 red lights to the Russian Grand Prix from last place on the grid. 5 lights are out and we're underway, and we have a good start off there. So already you can maybe see the fresh engine paying good use, because for once in our lives we've actually got a good start and overtaken someone off the 5 red lights as a bit of debris flies through. We're penned in on the left-hand side as Gasly enters turn 2, still in first place. So we've got a mega job to do this afternoon if we want to try and close up to our teammate who's already building a gap back in the minimap. We're up into P17 though. Can we try and get Lance Stroll on the right-hand side as we swing through? Maybe even get Fiat down the inside at his home Grand Prix. Absolutely embarrassed him at his home race. So I'm pretty sure sure Putin won't be too happy with that, unfortunately. So sorry, mate, if I've got you in trouble there. As we now send one to the inside of Magnussen, and we've got him for chips. There's the Renault's so slow, and we're up into P14 already. So I can already feel, I don't know about you guys if you can see it on your screens, but I can physically feel the difference of this engine already in the corner. Just the oomph off the corner is literally compared to what we had at Singapore, where there was just no get-go. And so with that, I think we can deal some good pain down this back straight. Very slow off the mark. Antonio Giovinazzi, as they all bunch up behind. I think that's the Red Bull up ahead who may have issues. I'm not too sure, but we get kind of a second toe off Russell, then pull out on the right-hand side. And look at that! As Bottas slows up majorly, he holds up the McLaren. We almost got off circuit because I was so surprised at the closing speed there. But we're up the order. We made 4 overtakes in one straight. And you can see because Valtteri Bottas has got major damage to his front wing there, holds them all up. And so, once again, some great news that it looks like the charity program's working out on F1 because we're up into P10 by the time we get to lap number 2. So we've got half the field already making good progress. And in the background, you may have heard there, Hamilton has got issues. My engineer told me about that. And so by the end of that same lap there, purple first sector, but we're going to try and get it down the inside of Lewis. He squeezes us towards the wall there, so we're not wanting to give up the position too easily, but we get the job done eventually, and we're up into P9 then. So the charity just keeps flooding in then. So Bottas helped us out. Hamilton just, stopped working basically. His .exe is non-functioning in the car. And now we can press on to trying to close up into that next train, which is tail-ended by Alex Albon. We can see all the fast lap of the Grand Prix flying about, as well as ours potentially, as we cross the line onto a new lap there, just narrowly missing out on all 3 purple sectors, but we still nab that fast lap of the Grand Prix so far. So clearly the engine is working well for us, and now we're on the back of this another 4-car train here. So maybe some deja vu potentially. I mean, if the car, I don't know which car is up ahead, but if they want to do the same as Valtteri Bottas, I would not complain, to be honest. But here we go then, trying to make a move on the tie. Brits, he goes to the left-hand side, goes defensive there, but no use for us with DRS open. Overtake mode up into P8, and now we've got Hulkenberg ahead, then the other Racing Point car, and then I believe it's the second Mercedes, I think, of Sergio Perez then, I believe, because we just took Albon, so I think Perez is the next car there ahead in silver. So we're now just going to be a bit patient here and wait for that main straight. Can't make any moves from here. Probably could have maybe tried a dive bomb down the right-hand side, can't lie, but I'd rather just be patient and get the job done nice and cleanly as we go through the last corner, then get the power down as early as we dare. Overtake mode, rich mix, and we wait for that DRS line to pop open. Now, open DRS, very fine margins between myself and Hulkenberg as he wobbles in a straight line there as we enter turn 1. And up ahead, Raikkonen now making a lovely dive on Sergio Perez there. So Kimi side by side with Sergio, doesn't quite make it work, so he's actually slowed himself up there. So can we now swing this through on the outside, have the momentum there as it builds very close to his right rear tyre, but now a dive down the inside, awkwardly close to Sergio Perez there, but we don't do what Raikkonen did to Bottas here at, I think was it 2014? I can't remember in real life there, and take him out on that right-hander, and we're up into P6, and now it's a case of just being patient once again for that back straight against Sergio Perez. But these cars seem so slow compared to us. So, remember how, uncompetitive we kind of looked at Singapore, going backwards once we made that jump in the virtual safety car. Here, we're just streaming forward. So the difference the engine power is making must have been quite huge, actually. We must have been hindering ourselves for at least 1 or 2 or 3 races, really, ever since the Belgium Grand Prix, because even then, we weren't flying around that circuit as much as maybe other people were, as much as Gasly potentially was. So we're through up into that P5 position. Meanwhile, though, in the top 5, my teammate leads the way ahead of the 2 Ferraris, and then Verstappen, Leclerc, though, trying to change the status quo as he goes down the inside of turn 2, but Gasly round the outside brushes him off there and maintains first place. And now Vettel gets in the mix. So now the 2 Ferraris, well, we saw what happens when those 2 clash together at the Belgium Grand Prix. Sparks flow and carbon fibre flew about. This time, bit of contact made, but no carbon fibre flailing quite yet. But Verstappen now is right behind them, but they're both holding each other up so much. It's a great battle, don't get me wrong, but you can see just in the background, I'm just about closing up corner by corner because these guys are still going at it. Leclerc only now secures that P2. Vettel has held down for P3. Verstappen, though, is now right on the back of them, whereas that wasn't the case before. And you can see just in the background there, in the top, off the top of your screen, my car is coming through. So give it 1 or 2 more laps, and we might just be fighting for the top 3 positions here and that podium spot, making a great comeback. But here goes once again Vettel, and this time he flies past there with the DRS. He's up into P2. Leclerc down to P3. Verstappen still following on then. And there we are going under the bridge and closing up even more so now. Here we are on lap number 7. And we are within 1 second in Sector 3. Or we will be pretty much because these two are still going at it. And you can see there, one of the Ferraris got really squeezed out so much so that he's going defensive against Verstappen now. And so we're well within 1 second. So we could be able to make a double overtake perhaps on the main straight on Verstappen and whoever else is there. Can't quite tell who it is there with the name tags not on. But as we come through the last corner onto lap 8, very close to Verstappen, actually narrowly missing a bit of contact there and actually getting all tail happy on the rear end a bit as the tyre dips on the grass on the left hand side. Verstappen, I think, is going to go for a move here on that Ferrari. So can we try and catch one of them napping potentially as the Ferrari goes defensive to the inside on turn 2. Verstappen, though, has that through. Bit of contact, but he's got it done. And Vettel's unsettled. And so we go down the inside of not one, but 2 cars there in turn 3. It's a fabulous double overtake. And we're up into P3 now of the Russian GP as we get on to lap 8, which is the lap we're going to make the pit stop, remember, as well. So we're going to close up to Leclerc, but make the pit stop and maybe try and undercut him if we can. But like I said, it's actually quite a joke how long these soft tyres go. You know, 8 laps, majority of the race is on the soft compounded tyre. It doesn't really make much sense because I'm pretty sure tyre scaling is meant to be a thing in this game, but Russia is just such a, you know, bland circuit basically. There's no features to it. There's no tyre wear to it, so the soft tyres just keep on going here. So we're in along with Verstappen, along with Vettel, and trying to make that undercut work on Leclerc and even our teammate if we can. As we go down the pit lane and into our pit stop, going onto the set of yellow wall medium tyres on the track, one of the Alfa Romeos has got an issue, so the virtual safety car has been called out as we exit this pit lane then. So that might help Gasly out a little bit. I'm not too sure. It depends on how long this virtual safety car lasts, but if this virtual safety car lasts long enough, Gasly could just about come in under the virtual safety car. I know I've technically gained some time here as well, because we've obviously had a few seconds of being under the virtual safety car, and like Singapore, like I explained, obviously everyone goes at the same pace, so you gain a bit of an advantage there. So we might gain a little bit, but on the reverse, Gasly might also gain some, depends on when he comes in. Let's see as we now go on later onto the end lap 9. The virtual safety car is ending. Gasly has not come in yet, so he's going even longer on the softs, but the ending of this virtual safety car, very awkward, because Verstappen now gets on the throttle a lot earlier than I can, so we have to go defensive a little bit as he sends one to the inside there. We just about give him some room on the inside to work with, but now for some reason the tyre warm-up was so poor on these mediums there that my car feels really out of balance and out of whack as we lock up and go very wide indeed. We're now side by side. Verstappen's gone the long way round. We now jockey for position for the net P3 in this Grand Prix, so Verstappen's, remember, jumped Vettel in the pit stops there. They're now side by side through the last few corners. They're still going at it actually as Vettel hangs on into the inside there, and we just about get away from them, but for some reason the tyre warm-up so horrendous and so susceptible to being overtaken. Thankfully not, and so we're up into P8, but the likes of Ricciardo still yet to pit in this Grand Prix, I believe, and Leclerc and Gasly yet to pit in this race as well. So very shocking that he leaves it to lap 10, so he's going a grand total of 3 laps only on the harder compounded tyres. So I don't know if this is part of further charity work by F1 as a whole to help out the Williams team, because of course, remember, early doors in this season, the tyre wear was pretty poor for our car, so I don't know if this is in any way helping out myself, but more so Gasly really, because obviously he's the one to gain from this in P1. But as we swing through to take that P7 and 6 through the last corner, a little bit wide, those the understeer kicks in. For some reason these tyres just actually feel a lot worse than the worn soft tyres ever did, but we're going to come out then in P3. Of course, we're still behind Leclerc then, so the undercut didn't really work, and so the soft tyre, maybe it just genuinely is just that much better around Russia for some random reason. The tyre wear doesn't even come into it. So we're still in P3 then, but crucially, we're well within 1 second. And now it's just a case of being patient, and we can overtake Leclerc now on the back straight with ease, I should think, with DRS. Overtake mode engaged. We're going to go up into rich mix now, but we're just about level on the fuel here. But swinging through on the right-hand side. And oh no! We're going to overtake Leclerc, but a bit of contact's being made, and there's been a big problem there for Charles Leclerc as his car goes up in red confetti like it's Chinese New Year. I don't know what on earth has gone on there. Ferrari need to stop making their cars out of papier-mâché. I don't know what's gone on. You saw when they crashed at Spa how bad it was, and now it's happened again at Russia. That was literally a little love tap, and it's all gone wrong for Leclerc, and I plead not guilty to doing anything wrong. I did not plan that was not premeditated, and I did not intentionally do that. It's not my fault the Ferrari car does not have the budget to build out of carbon fiber, and now I'm actually under pressure because on the last lap I've got damage to my front wing, and so we're just limping along to get through to the end of this Grand Prix. But Pierre Gasly will win the Russian Grand Prix. It will, though, be a 1-2 for Williams, and a great comeback for us from last to second place.
Yes, we're on the podium. Good job this weekend. Great drive. Thank you.
And for some reason, this second place, Jeff has never sounded happier. He legit has never sounded happier for this second place than compared to anything else there. But there you go. Oh, look at that. The double Colgate-sponsored Williams cars. But it's a bit tinged, of course. Gritted teeth today because, again, Gasly's beaten us. He's got another race win. But, you know, actually, I won't shake his hand because of COVID. But I'll smile at him with the grit face and just know that deep down inside, I want to beat him again. So we'll go again next race, and we'll look to do that.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today?
Well, simply, Claire, we have a good engine once again. I knew something was up at Singapore, and it's been proven now. The engine was lacking a bit of oomph. It was worn out. We're back to business here with the best car on the grid. Simple.
You must be happy with the result today.
I'm happy with the result. Like I said, it's a little bit annoying to be behind Gasly once again, but it all came together. It's all thanks to Colgate, you know, that fresh, minty sponsor powering us through, allowed us to brush through the opponents.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without the team, like I was just saying. I mean, they're the only team in the world that will allow me to crash in qualifying as a strategy and crash in the race, like was shown last race, of course, as well.
Do you have any comments about the collisions?
Yeah, I think Ferrari need to maybe reassess their budgeting and maybe allow for some actual materials that don't disintegrate with the tap of a finger, let alone a front wing of a Williams car.
Great. Well, that's everything.
And so that concludes a pretty decent Grand Prix, I think you'll say, from last to second place there. We don't get a bonus for qualifying, unfortunately, but, you know, you have your lows and highs when, you know, having a championship fight like this. But we do come away at the end of this episode then with 3 upgrades on the go. 1 ultimate on the chassis side, which will be major for the distribution of the weight around the car, but then 2 minor upgrades on the engine, both on fuel consumption, because that's still been an issue for our car, the only kind of chink in the armor. So next episode, hopefully those don't fail for us, and we'll have a very, well, even more decent engine, basically. I mean, you thought it was good already. It's going to be even better at Japan. It's just going to sip that fuel very delicately and just go all the way there and go the distance. So, guys, if you did enjoy the episode, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.